This case has been cruel, fierce, and enigmatic, keeping an entire community on edge. The abduction and the suffering a young girl went through before her tragic end sparked public interest and led to the creation of Sierah's Law, enacted in February 2017. Originally, the bill proposed a publicly accessible website to track offenders with serious convictions, similar to a sex offender registry. However, after several hearings, opponents such as the ACLU expressed concerns about the data protection law, resulting in a modification that invited residents to go to their local sheriff's office to conduct the search. Ultimately, the law was passed on December 6, 2018, signed by Governor John Kasich on December 19th, and went into effect on March 20th, 2019. In the summer of 2016, the disappearance of a young woman in rural Ohio left chilling clues uncovered in a dark cornfield dubbed the Barn of Horror, owned by a local man with a history of abductions. The case of 20-year-old Sierah Joughin features several elements that underscore the gravity of the situation from the outset, showing how each clue found increased the urgency of her search. First, Joughin's disappearance is disturbing because of the circumstances surrounding it. She disappeared while riding her bike home from her boyfriend's house on the night of July 19, 2016, accompanied part of the way by him, who was riding a motorcycle. But Joughin never returned home, and that was the last time she was seen alive. When Joughin did not return home from the bike ride, her family alerted police. Later that night, a sheriff's deputy found his purple bicycle in a cornfield just a half-mile from the house. Investigators combed the area and found more clues hidden in the cornfield: a sock, men's sunglasses, a screwdriver, a set of fuse boxes, motorcycle tracks, and evidence of a confrontation in the cornfields was evident from broken corn and stained with blood. Thanks to the help of Megan Roberts, special agent with the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation, who received the call to process the crime scene, the quick alert to the police by her family and her boyfriend when they did not receive the message that she had arrived home safely demonstrates the importance of the first moments in missing persons cases. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I had the strangest feeling, knowing that this was the location of a kidnapping, said Officer Megan Roberts. Authorities kept strict secrecy about what they found and what the clues indicated, blocking the road leading to the site. Joughin's family was nervous and wondering what authorities had discovered. The presence of these physical clues suggests a sudden and fierce confrontation. Each object found is a piece of a puzzle that hints at a violent story unfolding in the shadows. Although the boyfriend was initially considered a suspect due to his relationship and the motorcycle at the scene, the evidence eventually exonerated him, shifting the focus toward a possible unknown attacker. And this shows that, in situations like these, investigations must progress quickly, but cautiously, evaluating all possibilities without jumping to premature conclusions. The discovery of a blood-stained helmet by a farmer is another important clue, as it not only reaffirms that violence occurred, but also introduces an unknown element into the investigation. The fact that the community was involved in the search and in providing clues shows how deeply the case affected people, who joined forces in a desperate attempt to find answers. However, the secretive nature with which the police conducted the investigation suggests they wanted to protect the integrity of the case, perhaps aware that any leak could alert the culprit. Overall, this text emphasizes how each element discovered builds a disturbing picture of what happened that night, as the tension between the hope of finding Sierah alive and the growing evidence of a brutal crime takes shape. The narrative illustrates the delicate balances law enforcement must maintain between investigation, public communication, and containing the emotions of a community seeking justice. The investigation advanced when detectives began knocking on doors in the area. It was at this point that they reached the home of James Worley, a man who had already been convicted of kidnapping in 1990. What initially seemed like a routine visit soon changed when Worley began making incriminating statements and saying that he had lost his helmet, screwdriver, and glasses in a nearby field, exactly where the clues had been found. The discovery at Worley's property, particularly in his barn, was key to unraveling the violent crime that ended Sierah Joughin's life. The search warrant allowed investigators to uncover evidence suggesting a prior history of violence and predatory behavior. The blood-stained freezer and the box of women's lingerie not only indicate a possible previous practice of aggression, but also reveal a terrifying scenario where violence and control over the victims were tangibly manifested. The discovery of Joughin's body, 3 days after her disappearance just 2 miles from Worley's house, added a layer of horror to the investigation, confirming the community's worst fears. The fact that her body was tied and gagged is a clear indication that Joughin was subjected to prolonged and deliberate violence before her death. These kinds of details not only reinforce the brutality of the act, but also deeply affect the community, which saw in each new clue a confirmation of the tragedy. Forensic evidence was crucial in directly linking Worley to the crime. The DNA and objects found both at the scene and on his property established an irrefutable connection between the perpetrator and the murder. These types of proofs play a vital role in criminal cases, as they provide a scientific basis upon which prosecutors can build a solid case. The prosecutor's theory that Worley ambushed Joughin, struck her, and kidnapped her to take her to his barn before killing her fits the profile of an individual who has practiced this type of crime before. The case also had a deeper impact by bringing back memories of another crime Worley committed in 1990, when he kidnapped Robin Gardner. Gardner, who managed to escape from Worley, was a key witness at his trial, as her testimony not only evidenced Worley's pattern of violent behavior, but also showed that this criminal had been operating under the radar for years. This connection between past and present crimes reveals the recurring nature of violence in some individuals and the importance of remembering previous cases to identify patterns that might prevent future tragedies. The guilty verdict and Worley's death sentence represented a relief for the community and for Joughin's family, although their fight for justice did not end there. Worley's continuous appeals show how, even in cases with overwhelming evidence, the judicial system allows multiple attempts to overturn a conviction. However, Joughin's family has not been passive in this process. Instead of being consumed by the pain of loss, they have turned their tragedy into an active cause, creating a non-profit organization that seeks to prevent similar crimes. This act is a testament to human resilience and the desire to prevent other families from suffering what they have endured. In conclusion, this text reveals how a crime can not only destroy a life, but also deeply impact an entire community. Through evidence, testimony, and the determination of the victim's family, we can see how the judicial system, though imperfect, seeks to bring justice. However, the case also underscores the importance of identifying patterns of violence before it's too late. The case of James Worley is a grim reminder of the dangers lurking in seemingly quiet communities. Sierah Joughin's death not only devastated her family, but also mobilized an entire community to fight for greater security and justice. The Sierah's Law in Ohio, which allows access to a database of violent criminals, is a legacy aimed at preventing such tragedies from happening again. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and like us so you don't miss the next video. Until the next case.